Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the podcast where we discuss all things Liga MX and La Selección Mexicana. And our coverage continues of Leagues Cup 2025, now in the quarterfinals. Adrian, man, glad you're back. How was your trip to Hop 1, man?
It was pretty fun, dude. Not gonna lie, it was super fun. Definitely a good spot to visit. People say that when you visit Japan, every other place, I guess, goes down because they do it so great. And
Yeah.
I do have to say that they do actually are a great hosts for tourists. I was able to visit, or not to visit, to go to one J League match. I got to see Tokyo Verdy versus Yokohama Marinos, if I'm not mistaken, and it was like watching. Mazatlan versus Puebla or something like that, something along those lines.
Was that
But all
Viernes
in all,
Botanero?
it was actually yes, kind of a Viernes Botanero, although it was on Saturday. But yeah, it was kind of like the two of the bottom teams of the J League of this season. But it was fun. It was fun. It was a very energetic scene. Both the home crowd and the away crowd brought it on. They were chanting. They were hyped up. Quite different from what we see on this side of the world, right? Specifically in Mexico, where it's more hostile and definitely more of, I guess, like a traditional, soccer
Yeah.
environment or football environment. But all in all, great experience. If you ever get a chance to go to Japan, I would definitely highly recommend going to a J League match.
One final question regarding your trip. How many new jerseys did you add to your collection?
Just two, man. Just two.
Okay.
I got this one, which is the Tokyo Verdy. I think is the away shirt, and then I got myself a Japan national team jersey.
Those are always dope.
Yeah, the white 3-1. So
Nice.
those were on discount, so that's why I got it. J League shirts are not cheap. I just gotta say that.
Well, I don't think Japan's pretty expensive, like in general, no? Or is
No,
it pretty-
actually, it's super cheap when it comes to food and lodging.
Hmm.
It's not necessarily super cheap for everything else, like everything tourist wise. So like museums and temples and like whatever you want to do that it's like a tourist
Yeah.
thing. It's definitely cheap. Food is definitely also cheap. Um, but everything else might be like maybe $20 cheaper than in the States. But the actual jerseys, like the J League jerseys, were super expensive because they more often than usual offer the authentic jersey.
Gotcha.
It's not
The
easy to
player
find.
wear.
Yeah, exactly. So they got the most expensive ones out there. So that's why I didn't get me more jerseys than this one.
That's cool, man. Glad you're back. Glad you had a great time. And now let's discuss some Leagues Cup because it's starting back up, Adrian, here on August 20th. So quarterfinals. It's already quarterfinals, if you can believe it, due to this new format, right? The 2025 version of this tournament implemented. When before we had groups and qualifying out of groups. Now it's two big groups of 18. Just a quick summary here for those of you who weren't following the first round. Two big groups of 18, MLS 18 for Liga MX, and the top four from each league qualified to the quarterfinals to face the other four from the other league, right? So, Adrian, why don't you give us a rundown of the final 8 of this League's Cup?
Alrighty. So after phase one, where it was a whirlwind of matches, I think it was like 10 days of nonstop matches, right? We had 4 Liga MX teams that classified to the next stage, which are Toluca, Tigres de Nuevo León, Puebla, and Pachuca. Those were the Mexican teams that qualified to the second round. From the MLS, we had Orlando, Miami, Seattle, and Los Angeles Galaxy, to everyone's surprise.
Right, and just how did they get here? Toluca ended up winning 4-2 on penalties against Columbus in the first round. Tigres beat Houston Dynamo 4-1. Puebla beat NYCFC 3-0 in the first round. And Orlando City lost to Pumas in the first round, right? Inter Miami beat 2-1 Atlas in the first round. And Seattle beat, you guys can remember that 7-0 win against Cruz Azul in the first round. And Galaxy beat Tijuana 5-2 in the first round. Second match day, Puebla lost 3-1 against Columbus. Toluca beat Montreal 2-1. Tigres beat San Diego 2-1. Orlando beat Atlas 3-1. Inter Miami beat Necaxa 5-4 in penalties. And scrolling here to find the matches. LA Galaxy lost to Cruz Azul in penalties, and Seattle Sounders beat Santos 2-1. Match day 3, the final match day, Toluca ended up beating NYCFC 2-1. Tigres ended up losing to LAFC 2-1, but still it was enough, for them to go through, right? Orlando ended up beating Necaxa 5-1. Inter Miami beat Pumas 3-1. Seattle Sounders beat Tijuana 2-1. And LA Galaxy ended up beating Santos 4-0. And that's kind of how we got our final 8. Adrian,
Mhm.
man, before we kind of go into each matchup and kind of discuss, each matchup, who to look for, our surprises for the group stage, right? Who was the biggest letdown on and biggest, positive on the Liga MX side for you?
I think the biggest letdown has to be either America or Monterrey. And I know that Cruz Azul got trashed 7-0, right?
Yeah,
That was definitely, in my opinion, a fluke. I don't think that if they play again, I don't think that will ever happen.
yeah,
In not in 10 years or so, or like in 20 matches, probably happen again once.
yeah.
But I don't. I think that's the whole reason why I don't say Cruz Azul is the biggest letdown here from the Mexican side. I think it's Monterrey, which is a team that came in super hot from the Club World Cup. Right, they had a decent
Yeah,
run, made it to the second stage, and that's it. Like what I think what was expected
fair.
from them.
Yep.
Yeah, and Club America, who is the most recent tricampeón, right? They lost against Toluca. They have a strong team, but they have been underwhelming. At the start of Liga MX and now with Leagues Cup, they just cannot get a break. So I think between those two, I'm going to say that perhaps Monterrey, it's
Yeah.
the one with or I guess for me, the biggest letdown, just not only because of the names that it has on its squad, but also like I guess just
Who they lost to
the
and
yeah, I mean
how?
exactly how they lost it, and the thing is that for Dominic Torrent to come out and say like, hey, this doesn't really matter. It's just, we're not necessarily to worry about this, blah blah blah. Like, hey, listen to me as a fan. I want you to show up and say we're gonna win this, right? We're gonna show up and try to win it. If it doesn't happen, it's fine. Like it's okay. You're not gonna. I don't expect you to win every single tournament that you get in, but just to disregard it like as if it is nothing, it just doesn't sit well with me. If I was a Monterrey fan, I would have been definitely a little disappointed, but it seems like they're coping with it with the idea of like, hey, no one cares about Leagues Cup, and I think Monterrey is classified to the next CONCACAF Champions Cup, so that's why
Can't
it doesn't
recall.
doesn't doesn't really matter for them. Yeah.
Yeah, do you? That was something I was going to bring up for you, Adrian. Obviously you're from Monterrey. You know a lot of Monterrey fans, hardcore fans. Is this something that they looked at saying, we qualified and played a decent Club World Cup. This is kind of just, we don't want injury for our players. Now that Liga MX is back up, we really couldn't care less about this. Do you think this was kind of taking more of a backseat for fans of Monterrey?
I think the fact that they didn't make it to the next stage pushed them to be like, all right, this cup doesn't really matter. It's just a waste of time. It's okay that we got out on the first round because we don't want, as you said, like we don't want to have like overload of games or whatever the case may be. But I think that's just their mechanism to cope with the fact that they got knocked out by not so impressive MLS sides, right? I mean, I think did they lose
Yeah,
one
they
and tie
lost 3 to
one?
2 to Cincinnati. They beat New York Red Bulls 5-3 in penalties after 1-1, and then they lost to Charlotte 2-0.
Exactly. So only what 2 points
2
out
points.
of nine possible. It's like what a shame against Charlotte, dude.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. To me, it's like I get it as a Monterrey fan. If Tigres makes it to the next stage, you gotta demerit it in a way. Like you gotta say, hey, it doesn't really matter. No vale as they quote it as they coined themselves with that phrase. No vale, si vale, right? So that's why I think that's what they're doing here.
Yeah.
It would have been different if they would have made it to the next round and Tigres wouldn't, right?
True. Yep, like it always happens, right? That coin flip.
Mm-hmm.
But before we move on to the positives of Liga MX in the group stage, I want to touch on America here, a team that I agree with you after being, tricampeón, goes into this, with a big expectation of repping Liga MX and, advancing the next round. Interestingly enough, for Club America, Adrian, all ties that went to penalties. So their
Yep.
first match, they tied with Real Salt Lake and ended up losing 3-1 on penalties. Their second match, they tied with Minnesota after a red card for America, ended up winning 8-7 on penalties. And their final match of the group stage, they beat Portland after 1-1 tie, but 5-3 in penalties. So again, a very underperformed and underwhelming squad, Jardine squad, and performances from his team, right? So they ended up 10th in the table for the group stage for Liga MX with only 4 points after those draws.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 points, sorry, because you get one for going to penalties, right? So
Yes.
and Monterrey with 2 points, and obviously Llantitos Laguna was 18th with 0 points. But excluding the top four, I think great performances from Juarez to get a win and 2 draws, 6 points. They barely missed out on
Mm-hmm.
advancing. Mazatlan, this seems to be their tournament again. They barely missed out with this new format, but they went 1-1-1, 1 draw, 1 loss, 1
Mm-hmm.
win, got 5 points. So I think some smaller teams really using this tournament to kind of stand out and put their name, in grande, right? So Puebla, got to mention
Your
Puebla,
Pueblita, dude,
obviously,
yeah.
advancing, being the Mazatlan of this season. So let's get into it, Adrian. The first round here. Start with, I guess, the first match. Well, let's start with Toluca Orlando. I think that's one of the matches that really, Orlando is one of those teams that isn't a big team in MLS. They're doing decent right now in MLS season. I believe they're fourth in the Eastern Conference, so probably one of their better seasons in the maybe 10 years that they've been a club, right? But Toluca, fresh off Campeonato, fresh off having, maybe, I think my player of the tournament, Alexis Vega, having one of the players of the tournament, Paulinho, in there. I think this is just going to be a not too difficult match and a victory for Toluca. I'm calling it now. What are you looking for Toluca
Damn.
in this matchup, Adrian?
Well, listen, I think the our bias towards Liga MX definitely will come up and say that Toluca.
Before Liga MX wins first. Yeah. Right.
But I think, like, all in all things
Right.
considered, looking at the squad, and what Orlando City brings to the table. Granted, I'm not a huge expert of Orlando in any way whatsoever, but I don't think they have the quality of players, at least not up front or defending wise, right, to put up a fight against Paulinho, Alexis Vega, Elinho, etc., Marcel Ruiz, so on and so forth, El Canelo Angulo. So you would think that Toluca should walk all over them and trash them 4-1, 3-1, like at least 2 goals ahead of Orlando City. But I think Orlando City is one of those MLS teams that have grit and they know how to play, I guess, Latin American style. I think they have a Colombian coach. They have a very Latin Americanized squad as well. So that's why I think it's going to be closer than what everyone expects. I think it's going to be like a 1-0, 2-1 kind of nail biter here. I think Orlando City is going to they're definitely not going to like smudge the game and waste time, but I think they're going to make it so that it's very complicated for Toluca to break the lock. I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, Adrian, Orlando City comes into this match after having scored 10 goals in open play. 9 goals in open play in their 3 matches, an average of 3 goals per game. Scoring 5 against Necaxa, scoring 3 against Atlas, and 1 against Pumas before losing to Pumas in penalties. Definitely, I agree with you on their Latin vibe. Martin Ojeda and Luis Muriel scored a combined, I think, out of those 9 goals, 6 of them. So they're going to be the 2 players to watch for Orlando. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how Toluca's defense matches up against this high-scoring Orlando free-flowing squad. But you said your prediction was Toluca?
Toluca, yeah. I think Toluca's going to move on. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Seattle Sounders was Puebla. Probably one of the ones, in my opinion, that is toss-up. I think this could go either way depending what Seattle Sounders team shows up. I think if you look at this one might be the one game where you're saying the MLS squad is the favorite. But by no means Puebla is a pushover. They beat Montreal, they beat last year's champion Columbus, and they beat NYCFC, right? So for Puebla, man, I think you definitely have to kind of see on their defense, can they keep up with this home playing Seattle, right? Can they keep up with this pressure? Who are your players to watch out for on the Puebla side of this match, man?
On the Puebla side of this match, dude, definitely not the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
he had like 7 goals from Tigres a couple of weeks ago, not too long ago. So definitely not him. But let me check the roster real quick, if you don't mind, because it's no one.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's not a known roster.
I mean, other than freaking Marin, which was one of their strikers. Ricardo Marin, that came from what's it called? From Chivas. But listen, I'll say like, is Lucas Cavallini already healthy? I mean, listen, this Puebla side is definitely one of the least competitive squads that we've seen from Puebla in a while. Like, they are before the start of this season, they were in huge disarray. Pretty much no coach whatsoever, trying to get as many loan players as they could from Chivas, which is what they normally do. Listen, I think Emiliano Gomez, it's an interesting player they have right now. If Lucas Cavallini is actually healthy to play, let me look at their last match, which was a loss against San Luis.
He knows how to play against MLS teams, right? He played MLS before.
Exactly. So I would say, listen, this Lozano guy. What's the name of this guy? Hold on.
Esteban Lozano.
Esteban Lozano, that guy.
America.
Hmm. He's a good one. I would say Organista is also interesting, but man, it's difficult to choose players from Puebla right now. I think Martin La Rata Bravo is currently their coach because they sacked Pablo Guede just last week after the loss against San Luis.
Yeah.
And so this is a club that is showing up in very poor state against Seattle, which I'm surprised because they did pretty well in this first phase, but we don't know what kind of Puebla we're going to see.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. This is perhaps the one match out of the four where we can say, with a lot of confidence that if Seattle loses it, it's because they didn't want to win it, not because Puebla it's a tough opponent.
Yeah, Puebla, like we said, beat New York City FC 3-0, started up the group stage well, then lost to Columbus 3-1, and ended up beating Montreal 2-1. So it's going to be like I said, it's on Seattle. It's on Seattle to lose it, right?
It is on Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, they have players like Christian Roldan, who's having a career year in his new defensive midfield role. He's been a key player for Sounders for like the last 5-10 years, for what I know. Mm-hmm. Pedro de la Vega, if he's going to play, I can't remember if he's injured or not, but he has the potential to be a goal scoring threat. Yeah, I mean, I think the Seattle team should take it, but
the Pirate of the Caribbean is going to show up.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of team you like to score against.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
We'll see.
He shouldn't have any problems.
Yeah,
scoring against Puebla.
I think, man, as much as it pains me to say this, I think this is going to be a 2-0 win for Seattle.
I think it makes sense, dude. It makes sense. Puebla is definitely here for a fun time, not a long time, right? And trying to cash as many dollars as they can.
Well, man, the other match in this round, Pachuca versus LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy being the weird random MLS side that qualified after, obviously they're champions of the MLS, right? But their team has been depleted. They're horribly, playing horrible in the MLS as of right now. Yeah, I think they're last in their conference, right? With 3 wins in 26 matches. Yeah.
No Ricardo Push yet.
Yeah, no Bush. But they do have Marco Royce, but who hasn't been that impactful, I don't think. But Pachuca, LA Galaxy, I think if LA Galaxy's pieces come together, I think this is maybe, we haven't discussed the Inter, but from the other matches, the most parejo, the most even, if we're able to see an LA Galaxy click. I'm just going based off of LA Galaxy history. Yeah. They're a big team in the MLS. Pachuca is a well-respected international team.
Yeah.
They know how to win matches internationally for Mexico and represent Mexico well. So I think this could be a good match if LA Galaxy shows up. If not, I'm predicting a Pachuca rollover, maybe a 2-1 win, 2-0 win, and goals from my man Cádiz.
I mean, listen, I don't know what Jimmy Lozano is doing, but it seems to be working. Every single time I see Jimmy Lozano with Pachuca, I cannot help to think of that meme of the kid saying like, he makes this huge play or whatever on FIFA or on EAFC, and then he scores a badass goal. And the other kid asks him like, "Hey, how do you do that?" And the kid is like, "I don't know. I press all the buttons." That's how I feel with Jimmy Lozano, because there's no freaking way that Jimmy Lozano has, found a silver lining after the debacle with La Selección Mexicana. And I guess we can all agree that he took this job because perhaps he was the only one willing to put up with whatever requirements Jesus Martinez was putting up with. So good for El Jimmy that he's showing some grit. But yeah, I think Pachuca, even though I agree with you, this is perhaps the most level match in terms of like quality of the squads, and just looking at the teams holistically, right? As you mentioned. Yeah, I think Pachuca should definitely take it home. And Luisao and Yonder Cádiz should bag it for Los Tuzos. I don't know if it's going to be like a blowout 3-0 or like a huge score sheet, but definitely Pachuca should come out of it victorious.
The question for me, Adrian, is what formation does Pachuca line up? The previous 3 matches, they had a 4-4-1, man. They had against Tijuana when they lost most recently, right? They played a 4-2-3-1. And even before that, they had a against Houston Dynamo when they played, they had a 4-2-3-1. So what kind of lineup will he have is a question mark. You kind of don't know with Jimmy Lozano right now, just that he likes to play a line of back 4. But going into this match, man, I think there's question marks more than any time because of that current most recent loss against a 10-man Tijuana 2-0.
Yeah, that was a tough one for them. Just with the fact that they were up 1 man and Gilbertito Mora scoring against you with a header, freaking small guy showing up out of nowhere and scoring with a header. It's kind of crazy. But
that was our first loss.
Yeah, it was the
Right.
first loss, and it wasn't like a hey, listen, it wasn't like Pachuca was playing badly,
Yeah.
right? It's just I think they were very unfortunate throughout the entire match.
Yeah.
But given said that, I think well, you and I know Jimmy Lozano very well from follow him on Selección Mexicana. We know that he likes to adapt his lineups based on the opponent that he's facing,
Yeah.
and more often than usual, he keeps a back line of four. He just
Hmm.
makes movements on the middle and the forwards, right?
Right.
Um, I don't think he's gonna be playing any games. I think he's gonna stick with a 4-2-3-1 formation. I cannot recall what's LA Galaxy's strategy so far this season, but the fact that they are not necessarily like in the best performance level or form right now makes me feel that El Jimmy Lozano is gonna be a little cautious and try to capitalize as much as he can via counterattacks.
Yeah. No, I agree. Prediction, Adrian?
Pachuca moves on, 3-1,
So
4-2 kind of.
you don't see LA Galaxy showing up.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. But listen, this is League Cup, and we have LA Galaxy and Pueblita in the second round.
Yeah.
So I could be wrong.
What a
Again, this is
matchup
my
that would have
bias.
been.
I mean, if they both make it to the next round, we're gonna have LA Galaxy and Puebla.
Yeah.
That would be a very interesting
Oh,
match.
man.
But I think I'm gonna let my Liga MX bias win this time around and have Pachuca won.
All right, Adrian, let's get on to the final match. I know the one you want to discuss here, the one Marcelo wishes he could attend. But Inter Miami, Tigres. Obviously, we know Tigres played Houston, LAFC, San Diego. Inter played Pumas, Necaxa, Atlas. Tigres squad who is just coming off of a very demoralizing defeat at the hands of America at home, right?
Mhm.
After Bruneta opens up the scoring sheet, they let 3 goals in and just ultimately just poor performance from Tigres in the second half, really. And, an Inter Miami squad who has come into this match revamped with a brand new signing of Rodrigo de Paul and, Messi and friends, more powerful than ever, older than ever, but, more powerful than ever with with his new signing, his new bodyguard. Looking at this from the window of Tigres, is Messi the main focal point that Tigres has to contain in order to win this match?
Listen, man, this is the derby of La Amistad because both teams are relying on the power of friendship to move on to the to the next stage. Messi with all his buddies, Rodrigo de Paul, Luis Suarez, Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, etc., 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 and Tigres with El Sindicato leading, by
Another
Raúl
old
Guzmán.
fart of Sindicato.
Exactly, all of them, right? Okay. Tigres definitely has to put a huge mark on Messi because even though Messi is not the Messi of 5 years ago, he can still put up a great show. I mean, he has shown every week and week in and week out in MLS and even before joining MLS that he only needs a snap to serve a ball and put the forwards in an advantage position or get a freaking free kick and just hang it on one of the corners, right?
Yeah.
So definitely pay close attention to what Messi is doing. But I think the key player here is Rodrigo de Paul because Rodrigo de Paul runs for Messi. Rodrigo de Paul does everything that Messi is not doing on the pitch. I cannot recall the last time I saw Inter de Miami, but I think the last time I did was Rodrigo de Paul was starting and Messi was out due to either injury or a sanction for not going to the All-Star game.
That
right?
was it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And man, Rodrigo de Paul was doing everything. Like he was running for everyone. He was covering the ball for, whatever Messi told him to do or whatever, words Messi used to convince him to move to Inter Miami seemed to be working because this guy is unstoppable. He is. He's the little engine that could, running all over the pitch, orchestrating the offensive, running back when he needs to defend. I mean, he is on a peak level of performance, physically speaking, that I think Tigres should be definitely super aware of. Luis Suarez is also threatening, but Luis Suarez is a kind of, as of right now, at this point in time, if you fight with him physically, if you put up with his nastiness, I think you're going to get into his head and he's going to be pretty much neutralized. So, yeah, that's what I think.
2 30-year-old ex-Atletico Madrid players going at it on either side of the pitch, right? Ángel Correa, Rodrigo de Paul. Going to be two Argentines, obviously. It's going to be an interesting matchup there in the midfield. Players to watch for: Ángel Correa, Adrian, the player who has been a revelation in the tournament. Starting off pretty much clean slate with Tigres at the beginning of the season, and going straight into Leagues Cup and doing his thing, scoring goals,
Yeah.
making assists, and being the player of the tournament so far for Tigres. Brunetta also one of the better players of this tournament, and early on in the Liga MX season, he has 3 assists in this Leagues Cup play. But the big question, Adrian, is who will Guido Pizarro, or how will Guido Pizarro line up? We saw him line up with a 4-4-2 against
Mhm.
Puebla when they ended up dominating that 7-0, when everybody got on the score sheet. But then he did a 4-2-3-1 against America, which ended up backfiring. He had just the one pivot up there, Nico Ibanez, when before against Puebla, right? He was playing Ivan Lopez and Ángel Correa up
Gazelle.
top, with Brunetta kind of behind. What formation would you like Pizarro to go with here? And do you think he should do the important 2-man up front or just one?
I think, man, and this might be a little unpopular, but I feel that Gacelo Lopez should start ahead of Nico Ibanez. And don't get me wrong, Nico Ibanez is definitely, in paper, a better player than Ivan Gacelo Lopez. But
Mm-hmm.
when Gacelo Lopez is on the pitch, you have other players getting their name on the score sheet. And I think that's what Tigres needs right now. They don't have a go-to striker. They don't have a poacher. They don't have a like an advanced forward in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they need someone who can contribute to the collective. And in this case, El Gacelo Lopez can do that because he can play as a winger. He can act as the number 9 if he needs to, right? And he complements Ángel Correa very well. So if I were Guido Pizarro, right, and understanding that I have this game in the middle of the week, then I have to go back to Mexico and play Liga MX, maybe I would save my starting striker, Nico Ibanez, and put Gacelo Lopez to keep on moving on this Leagues Cup. That's my take on here. I think Tigres is looking stronger and way more aligned to a specific tone when Gacelo Lopez is on the pitch than with Nico Ibanez at the helm of the forward or the defensive of Tigres.
So do you think Lopez should be the one pivot point, or do you think he should play the same way with 2, how he did against Puebla?
Yeah, he should be playing 2 up front.
Okay.
And Ángel Correa having the freedom to do what he wants.
move around.
That's when Correa shines the most, right? Either if he stays back, right, to get the ball, turn around and distribute it, or if he, acts as the lone striker for a counterattack, like he did on a couple of these League Cup matches. I think that's the key right now for Tigres. As long as they don't have a very strong, reliable striker, it doesn't make sense to have someone who is not taking advantage of crosses, is not contributing to the collective play, right? And it's just
Gacelo.
Exactly.
That's not Gacelo, yeah.
Exactly.
Like you said, he runs wide, opens up the space for Ociel or Marcelo, or those types of players that come in, right? A Brunetta.
And then we said this a lot of times last season and during this first few weeks. El alérgico del gol, Nico Ibanez, is just not on fire, dude.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, he's just not performing the way that we expect him to be. And you cannot put all your eggs in the Andre Pergignac basket because that ship has sailed, dude.
Yeah.
The sole fact that he's still here is just because of all pure nostalgia, and that he's a legend of the club. But he's not nowhere near to be at the level at 40 years of age that we want or that Tigres needs in a striker.
I agree. It's unfortunate, but he can stay as long as he wants, man. For what he's given the club.
Don't buy that. Don't fall prey of that discourse, man. It's not.
Hey, man, let him retire in peace, man. But okay, Adrian, the big one. Who wins this?
This is a tough one. My heart says Tigres, but you know what? Apple TV and Messi and Friends, how much weight they carry. I am not sure if Inter de Miami has qualified for the Champions Cup. If they haven't, if they're not in, I wouldn't be surprised if something happens that push them to the semifinal, so they can magically show up to the final and then again qualify to the Champions Cup, because that's what CONCACAF wants. That's what the MLS wants. That's what everyone wants, right? Every single party involved in CONCACAF Champions Cup would like to have Messi around, not only because of the money that they bring in terms of streaming and pay-per-views and whatever you want to call it, but also every single team that receives Messi makes bank on ticketing and other things, right? So this is me wearing my tinfoil hat, but I'm gonna go with Tigres winning by the slightest, maybe by penalties in this case. But yeah, Listen, I am not. You know me, dude. I don't have a quarrel with either Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi. I don't care. They're not my type of players, but I do celebrate when one of them falls. So I hope that I get to do it this time
Yeah.
around. Tigres beating their asses.
Well, as long as it's not a repeat of last year's League's Cup where the final four, the semifinal were all MLS sides. Hopefully some Liga MX teams
Yeah.
can get in that semifinal this time. So recap real quick. Adrian and I have Tigres for the love of the game going through over Inter. We both have Toluca beating Orlando. We think Seattle Sounders going to be too much for Pueblita. And
Mhm.
Pachuca should steamroll this LA Galaxy team if, barring some Marco Royce crazy magic. But let us know in the comments below, who do you think goes through to the semifinals of the Leagues Cup? Do you like this new Leagues Cup format, 18 versus 18 teams and only 8 qualifying in the next round? Definitely let us know in the comments below. We like interacting with you guys. Adrian, man, as we wrap up this episode, where can our listeners find us too?
They can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We post memes, latest news, and shorts of our episodes.
Yep, and also let us know before I forget, who do you think Marcelo, our editor and marketing, has winning Inter and Tigres? Marcelo loves Messi. Does he love Messi more than Tigres? We'll find out.
I mean, he
But
claims to be a Tigres fan, but he definitely loves Messi.
yeah, he does. He would love to be in that game. We know it, but we'll be all watching from home, hoping Tigres secures that W. Adrian, man, good episode. See you in the next one.
Take it easy, friend.
See you, man.
Deuces.